Hello everyone, watching in today's bird video. Going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days for today's bird video. That's going to take us to the 25th of May. We'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles. They run to around a couple of weeks. Have a look at CFSV2 at the end of the video for June 2020. Talking of June, the JMA Friday update today is taking us into the first half of June. Yes, having a look at the weather for the next 4 weeks with the month-ahead look ahead within JMA Friday. And the first video today was our European outlook, looking at weather in detail for Europe for the next week. Of course, last night we released a weekend forecast for America as well. Just trying out new content, trying out new things, and seeing how we get on. So have a look at both the weekend forecast for America and the weekend forecast for Europe when you're done with this video, if you would like to do that. So I just going to say a big thank you to our latest YouTube channel member. So we opened up the channel to channel membership around 3 weeks ago now. It's been a very, very popular development. So I've had lots of channel members signing up. Big thank you to all of you for doing that. I'm going to say a big thank you to our latest YouTube channel member, Willie Scott. Thank you so much, Willie Scott, for becoming our latest YouTube channel member. It's absolutely fantastic. So much. Thank you so much for doing that, Willie. So if you would like to become a channel member for Gazworthies, all you need to do is come to the Gazworthies YouTube homepage, click the join button, or you'll see the join button with all of the videos on YouTube. Well, you should if you can't see the join button, and some people are reporting that they can't with mobile and tablet devices. But workaround there is that you'll find a link within the description. So it'll take you to another page where you'll see what benefits you get for becoming a Gazworthies channel member, and you can also sign up on that page as well. Just to say that if you are a YouTube Premium member, you can become a Gazworthies YouTube channel member for free until the last day of May. YouTube have asked me to pass that on. So that offer is valid until the 31st of May. If you're in the UK and you are a Gazworthies, you are a YouTube Premium member, you can become a Gazworthies channel member for free, and we will still get the revenue for your channel membership, but you won't have to pay anything because you've already paid for YouTube Premium, and that offer is valid until the last day of May as well, I believe. So a big thanks to all of our channel members. Special thank you to latest channel member Willie Scott, and of course big thanks to our patrons, and also big thank you to our donors as well. Very, very special way you're supporting Gazworthies through this troubled time. I realise it's a very difficult time for everybody, so the way you have all responded to this has been absolutely fantastic. So a big thank you to all of you for doing that. And as I keep saying, I promise you that we're going to keep recording, we're going to keep uploading, we're going to keep live streaming, we're going to keep all of the written stuff going at the website as well. And it's just absolutely great, just absolutely fantastic the way that as a community we have all come together. So a big, big thank you to all of you, and of course special thank you to latest channel member Willie Scott. Thank you so much, Willie, for doing that. Right, moving on, and we're going to start off with the situation in the tropical Atlantic and Caribbean. So we've got our disturbance area, as we talked about yesterday. This red X just here at the National Hurricane Centre website. It's very, very early to be at National Hurricane Centre of this, although something similar did happen last year. Interestingly, and then everything went very quiet until like late summertime. So maybe this is a false dawn, but I've got a feeling this is sort of a heads up that we're going to have a much more active hurricane season this year, maybe even a hyperactive one, but we'll see about that. But anyway, we've got this red X here. It's a disturbance area, but it's actually disturbance 1, and it's got an 80% chance of cyclone formation in the next 48 hours. National Hurricane Centre are saying a trough of low pressure located over the Straits of Florida continues to produce disorganized shower activity and gusty winds across the Florida Keys, portions of southeast Florida, and the northwestern Bahamas. Gradual development of this system is expected, and it will likely become a tropical or subtropical storm on Saturday when it is located near the northwestern Bahamas. Later in the weekend and into early next week, the system is expected to move generally northward over the western Atlantic Ocean. So here we go. This could well be subtropical or tropical storm Arthur, I think, tomorrow. And it's going to be somewhere around there tomorrow. It looks like it's gradually going to move northwards. Now, in a moment, I'm going to show you what's happening for the European scene in terms of the models. There is a lot of uncertainty within the model output as we move towards the bank holiday weekend. I suspect part of that uncertainty, you will see it in a moment, part of that uncertainty is probably down to the development of this system. And as it gradually moves north into the North Atlantic, of course, the models are playing around with what effects that can have on the jet stream and on the overall broad synoptic pattern. It's a reason that when we get through to late August and September, model output is always very, very unreliable then, because there tends to be a lot of activity in the tropical Atlantic, and the models are trying to deal with where all of that activity is going. It's really early days for this. I'd say something similar did happen last year, but I suspect, again, I will show you in a moment, the variability that we are seeing within the model output at the moment is probably, at least partly, due to this. That's the system just there on the satellite picture, that hook of cloud just there. So, yes, things are developing already in the tropical Atlantic, and I say this could well be tropical or subtropical storm Arthur somewhere around the Bahamas tomorrow. So, we shall see where this system goes after that. Coming back to home, these are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. Looking at London at Old West Central today. So the red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for London. We're starting off still a bit on the cold side, not as cold as it has been, but still below average with those upper air temperatures at the moment. But things are going to be warming up over the next few days. It's actually going to become really quite warm indeed as we go into next week. I think you'll see temperatures on the surface pushing up to around 25 degrees. That's around 77 in Fahrenheit. So, yes, a warm-up on the way through the course of next week. And then as we move in towards the last week of May, that's this period just here, we do see a very slow and gradual drop in those upper air temperatures. But it is quite a slow drop, and certainly for the next week to 10 days, it looks like the next week anyway, it looks like the upper air temperatures are going to be pretty warm. Precipitation-wise, a lot of dry weather coming up until we get towards the back end of next week. And then, of course, we hit the bank holiday weekend, and then we've got the uncertainty beginning to creep in. It does look as though, let's get rid of all those lines, it does look as though by around the 25th of May, we could be starting to see some precipitation coming through then, some largish sort of spikes before the precipitation spikes sort of ease off again towards the very end of the month. Overall, that's a pretty dry ensemble though, and quite warm, at least for the next week to 10 days. So nothing too alarming coming up in the immediate time frame. Temperature anomalies from the 15th to the 23rd of May gradually easing their way towards being slightly milder than average. Of course, these have been cold all week, has been a cold and average week, but gradually these are beginning to ease their way towards something a little bit milder, a little bit more above average from the 15th through to 23rd of May. Not a particularly big deviation, but certainly on the mild and average side. Precipitation anomaly is a bit wetter than average in the north and a bit drier than average down in the south. So a bit of a north-south split setting up precipitation-wise. That's probably down to quite a lot of heavy rain that's due across Scotland in particular, and particularly western parts of Scotland on Sunday. After that, through next week, I think it does actually turn drier through all parts of the country. That's how the GFS is looking for Monday, GFS 6 o'clock run. So the reason it's quite wet in the north on that anomaly map is we're going to have a weather front from Sunday to Monday strung out in the Atlantic through there. High pressure building across England and Wales keeps it mostly dry and quite warm through there, but more unsettled up in the north with some rain at times. But by Tuesday through to Wednesday, then the high pressure builds north and takes over weather. So by the middle of next week, we're looking dry and warm, perhaps very warm for the time of year. It's only 20th of May, and I think we'll be seeing temperatures to around 25 or 26 degrees. That's knocking on the door of 80 Fahrenheit. So very warm as we go into the middle part of next week. Stays very warm into Thursday. Low pressure's beginning to edge in off the Atlantic Ocean, though. And that implies by the time we get through to the end of next week and running up towards the bank holiday weekend, we might be seeing the indications of a breakdown then. So heavy showers, possibly some thunder beginning to get going in around a week's time. Now, moving into the bank holiday weekend, and this is when the uncertainty is coming in, but moving into bank holiday weekend, in comes the low pressure from off the Atlantic, and I have a feeling this low pressure is probably being driven a little bit by the remains of what is, I would think, tomorrow going to be tropical or subtropical storm Arthur. So this low pressure, by the time you get through to bank holiday weekend, starts to bring cloud and rain and much cooler temperatures in from off the Atlantic. That's how it looks as we get towards day 10, and yes, we are unsettled. We tried to turn it very warm as we go just beyond day 10, it's the 26th of May, trying to pull up some much warmer air from the south as the upper air temperature showing heat is gathering across parts of France, but it doesn't really come to very much, and eventually we just turn wind back into the northwest and we stay showery and quite cool right way up to month's end. As far as we can get to with the GFS today is to the last day of May, 31st of the month. Be the day we're releasing regards of his summer forecast, by the way, and we're looking rather cool and showery up to that point. So the GFS has definitely shifted a little bit towards cooler and more unsettled conditions for the last week of May. Let's have a look at the GEM. So again, we've got this ridge building up from the south on Monday, still unsettled in the north with outbreaks of rain by Tuesday and Wednesday. We're all under the high pressure, turning dry, fine and very warm through the middle part of next week. That high pressure gradually begins to ease its way towards the east. Again, we're pulling winds up from a south-southeasterly direction there on Thursday the 21st of May, but by Friday running into bank holiday, yes, we've got low pressure developing out to our west. That might produce a thundery breakdown, could be some heavy showers or thunderstorms, and then cooler air with showery rain heading in from off the Atlantic. And as we move up towards day 10, so we turn more unsettled. It's not as unsettled at day 10 as the GFS 6 o'clock run was, but nevertheless it still looks a bit on the cool and showery side. And now for the ECM. This is the ECM WF for Monday. Again, high pressure is easing up from the south, keeping England and Wales mainly dry and warm. Scotland looks quite unsettled on Monday with rain, but through the course of the middle of next week, we get that high pressure building northwards. There is the remains of what is going to be subtropical or tropical storm Arthur just there, I think. So by Wednesday, we've got this high pressure over the top of the country, bringing lots of dry and fine warm weather. Now, as we go through to Thursday and Friday, again, this will be the remains of the subtropical or tropical storm Arthur here. We're still under high pressure, keeping it mainly dry and warm. And what happens with the ECM is that the remains of Arthur gets amalgamated with this deeper area of low pressure in the northern part of the Atlantic, but it doesn't turn us particularly unsettled. It does bring some cloud and rain into the north and west of Scotland and Northern Ireland, but actually for England and Wales, we're kept under the ridge of high pressure. And the upshot is that we start to eventually bring some hotter air up from the south. So the low pressure, which again contains the remains of what will be Arthur, I think, that's in the North Atlantic on Sunday, never really makes it into Western Europe. It just sort of stalls in the North Atlantic, and it allows high pressure to build sort of over and to the east of the country, and that starts to draw up some quite hot air from southern Europe. And as we go through to day 10 with the ECM run, which is Monday the 25th of May, Bank Holiday Monday, we are actually on the cusp of really quite a big heat wave. We've got high pressure sitting just to our east, and hot air is gathering to our south. Look at the upper air temperatures. So we're already within very warm air across much of England and Wales, and the 15 Celsius iceberg is just lurking to our far south. That could see temperatures possibly lifting up to the upper 20s Celsius if that hot air was to drift any further northwards. So, again, it's all speculation possibilities, and the uncertainty that we see here within these models, I think, is at least we have seen a lot of uncertainty anyway, and that's been going on since we went into lockdown. I think a lot of that is due to reduced observational data from aircraft. So we are down on observational data from aircraft. I think that has partly led to some of the uncertainty. But now we're beginning to talk about tropical storms in the Atlantic as well. That's just going to add an extra layer of uncertainty in terms of where those tropical storms go. But certainly we do see, I mean, that's 240 hours. That's day 10 with the ECM. This is 240 hours with the GM. That's very different, GM to the ECM at day 10. And then if you go back to the GFS, that's how the GFS looks at day 10. Again, that looks totally different from the GM and the ECM. So between the three, there are very, very different scenarios going on at day 10. And a lot of that uncertainty, I will think, is down to the impacts of what this storm could have that's getting going in the tropical Atlantic. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10, which gets us to the 25th of May. You'll see there's lots of options. So, again, just go show how uncertain things are within the ECM ensembles. We have 14 members of the ECM ensembles at day 10, which is Bank Holiday Monday, 25th of May, that have high pressure to our southwest and also to the north, with some lower pressure coming in off the Atlantic. So that would be sort of similar, I suppose, to what the GM is showing. 10 have the high pressure just to our south, with low pressure up to the north. They're flatter and more westerly. Could be quite unsettled in the north. These 9 just here are very unsettled. Let's change the colour. Under a deep trough of low pressure with those and hints of northern blocking. However, we've got 6 down here that look much more settled. They have a ridge of high pressure extending from the Azores to northern Europe. That would be dry and very warm. Another 6 with low pressure to our west, high pressure to the east. That could be thundery, bring winds up from the south, probably very warm, but low pressure in the Atlantic could produce thunder. And then 6, including the operational run, and that's the run we've just been talking about, that have that high pressure just to the south of the country and bringing up the hot air from southern Europe. So the operational run, not all that well supported, really, by its ensemble. However, the 6 that we have here are not all that different to the 6 that we have over there. And to be honest, they're not all that different from the 6 that we have in that box either. And probably not that different from the 10 up here either, really. But certainly these 3 boxes, these 3 lower boxes, they are all sort of similar-ish. So, again, a lot of uncertainty within the ECM ensembles. In 2 weeks' time, given the uncertainty around day 10, it's probably not worth looking beyond that. But in 2 weeks' time, this gets us to the 30th of May. We see that we have 24 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure to our north and west. Low pressure is to the east. That could be a little bit cooler and more showering. 18 with high pressure to the north of Scotland, that's mainly dry, probably very warm, bring winds in from the east. And 9 with high pressure to the east, low pressure to the west, that's probably very warm, possibly even hot, bring winds up from the south, might be a little bit thundering. So it all remains to be seen, really, where things are going from around Friday, Saturday, in around a week's time. That's when the uncertainty is coming in. How unsettled will it get? Will it get unsettled? If it does, how unsettled will it get? And we do see a few hints here, particularly with the ECM, that things could get quite hot by day 10. So it all remains to be seen. Finally, this Albacete SB2 is looking for June. These are 700 millibar height anomalies for June, going for above average heights to be sitting to our north and also to our east. So rather settled weather with that, you would have thought. Bring wind in probably from an easterly direction. The danger, as always, with that kind of pattern, any high pressure up towards Greenland and Iceland in the summer, the danger with it is that you'll get low pressure developing underneath it. There's no particular indication for low pressure to develop underneath that ridge, blocking area of high pressure, but that is always a danger. And if you do get low pressure developing under a blocking area of high pressure, then obviously that can set you up for quite a cool and wet pattern. As it is, the CFS is going for a warmer than average June with above average temperature anomalies and precipitation anomalies. No particular signal, there very rarely is on these charts. And finally, in terms of the sea surface temperature anomaly for June, CFS is seeing a continuing development of a weak La Nina in the equatorial Pacific Ocean. And of course, on Sunday, we're going to be looking at, we're going to have our next summer update, and we'll be looking at ENSO analogues. So we'll be looking primarily at summers that are transitioning from like a weak El Nino either to ENSO neutral or to La Nina. So that should be quite an interesting watch, and that will be coming up on Sunday. But before then, tomorrow we've got the weekend forecast coming up. We'll have a week's 10 minute update, all the regular features, of course, and I think we'll have another look at Bank Holiday weekend tomorrow as well. Sunday we'll be doing the summer analogues, as I said, summer update. It'll be Gaz Weather Study Roundup, and there's going to be a live stream at 5 o'clock. And that live stream will be very, very interesting because I'm going to show you the latest forecast for the winter of 2020-21 from Patal Peng, from Patal Peng's analogues, Patal Peng part of NOAA. And I've been showing you these within the videos on a month-by-month basis over the past couple of months. We'll show it in the live stream on Sunday. So if you want to know what Patal Peng is forecasting this month, the winter of 2020-21, then I'll be showing that in our live stream on Sunday from 5 o'clock. So I think that should be quite an interesting live stream, to say the least. Right then, so that's what's coming up over the weekend. But for today's videos, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.